What's going on, everyone? Sorry about that. We had some technical difficulties that we will be quizzing Hoults on because he was all of a sudden like not talking. He went away. It was like disastrous. And then it's like he clicked one button and then everything worked. So we're going to be asking him about that in here in a second. But how is everybody doing? Today was an interesting day. So this whole week I thought it was going to go one way and it has totally went a different way because of work and stuff. So yeah, it's been one of those, and it was just one of those times where I had to text someone after hours, but there's never something after hours in my job, so I don't know. But they're not texting me back, so they may be upset, but that's okay. So with that said, super awesome. Obi Rose, what's going on? Rouster, what's going on? Ambi, what's going on? Jeff Janek, thank you so much. I know Jeff's doing his usual thing where he's streaming me and he's got a couple other people on. So thank you. Willie Lowe, I think, is also streaming today. Wit, what is going on? I know Rouster Wit is trying to play Diablo soon. So let's make this happen. Cindy Windu, first time. Wavy, Wendy, thanks for coming by. And Bliss. So Bliss, do not get my hopes up high on this Armor Core 6 stuff. I have already, if it's not going to do it, we are definitely going to do Diablo. So let's see if it co-op. Don't get my hopes. And Tony Baloney, what's going on, Tony? So we, as y'all know, we're bringing some of the alumni back from Shades of Purple. So we're going to bring back Hoults. He was the first one when I said this that he wanted to be on. And I said, why not? We haven't heard from Hoults in like 14, 15 months. So we're definitely going to bring him on here in a second. We're going to see what he's been doing. We're going to be hearing about some controversial gaming hot takes that he has because, lots of stuff has been going on. But yeah, so without any further ado, I don't even know what further ado means, but I'm going to say it. So without further ado, we're bringing on Shades of Purple alumni from the past. Hoults, what's going on?
I've always wanted to be an alumni. I've not been an alumni in years, and I thought this is a good time now to be a Purple alumni. Well, does this actually community have a specific title for being an alumni?
For the Shades of Purple?
Is it just the shade? Are we just Purple alumni?
You're the Purple alumni. I could probably figure out some type of interesting word choice.
I love scarves like back in the day, university scarves.
Yeah.
I definitely need a Purple alumni scarf now for coming on. I would love one for the winter. I should go and look for a lovely purple.
I might be doing something like that when I for branding. I might do that.
Class of 2023.
You're actually class of 2022.
Oh, class of 2022. No,
you're class of 2022.
I graduated in 2022, and now I'm back. Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, you came back.
You're an alumni, Hoults. Yeah, I like it.
So look at that. Further ado means without delay, immediately.
Well, that doesn't explain me, does it? With them technical difficulties.
It sounds like it's. Did you know what that meant? It sounds like something like. Obviously, Crow would probably know it, but like, where does it come from? Like, it's not like. Is it just like something they say?
I don't know. I've heard it loads of times, but I've never took merit to it, should I say.
Oh my gosh.
Without further ado, here we are.
Well, in Hoults, did you get a haircut?
No, this is what they call middle-aged men receding.
Oh my gosh, and it is super early there. It is 1:15, so we definitely,
Yeah, this time I don't actually have my lovely pool backdrop. This is just the reality, you know? I don't have to, make any fancy thing now being an alumni. It's
yeah,
just what it is.
you're just coming
Rough,
back.
rugged, 1:30 in the morning, cheering, that's
Oh,
all.
you're done with those days. And look, we have Mr. Urban World's coming through. So Urban's coming through. So we're gonna be talking a lot, Holtz, about everything. We've heard there's been some controversies going on. Obviously, last time we talked to you, uh, you were sidekicks with Cowboy, and then there's been this controversy that there was this falling out. F Cat's taking your spot on that show, and
Oh,
so well,
no.
we'll get into all of that. Hey Crow, what's going on? We were just mentioning Crow. But what have you been up to, Holtz? What have you been playing recently? Last time we talked, you were kind of Stadia, but no longer Stadia. You had a PS5, one of the first ones to obviously have that in the community. But what have you been doing?
Well, I'll start off with the game that I've been playing this week, should I say. It was a game that you mentioned on the community panel on your last week. It was Stray Gods, which you recommended it, right? You see, and it hit a passion in me because you don't know this, but I actually love musicals.
What?
You know what I mean? So growing up on a holiday camp, you would never have known that Hoults loves musicals. So I knew all the good old days like the King and I and Carousel and the West Side Story. I knew all them, but it's in today's at my age, I still love the musicals like the new musicals like Matilda and The Greatest Showman and Lyle Lyle Crocodile. And then when you actually showed it and I seen a musical RPG, I was like, how? Wow, I need to play this because I love when you watch TV shows. Some of my favorite TV shows like superheroes or like of late, I've just watched Star Trek and there's an episode where they do musicals, a musical episode, and it always makes me like, yes, they're finally doing a musical episode. So when I seen a musical RPG, I was like, this is perfect. This is a game that I have to jump in and love
Oh
all
my god.
elements of it. So we talk about the aesthetics, I love the musical, and I love the genre. So that's the game I've been playing this week.
So tell us. So I did not pick it up yet, right? Because I I
Oh,
have so many games,
a,
but
a recommendation, you then pick it up yourself. Oh, I
no,
got you.
I am. Well, I haven't played it. I haven't played it. It's probably like I did put it on game Xbox. I just haven't downloaded it. So like I actually have it but I haven't downloaded or played it. So um, what did you think of this game?
I really, really, really like it. I don't know if I'm gonna play other play styles because I think I just love the grace that I had, but the experience that I have actually enjoyed, you are right in what you say. American Gods meets like a Telltale's The Wolf Among Us. So that
Really?
that is like literally you hit the nail on the head with that idea. And yeah, I think 7.5 hours, 8 hours, I think I done. I messed up at the start and deleted my save, so I've done it again. But yeah, I think it's definitely a game if you want to try something new, especially if you like RPG genres with a musical twist.
That's like the only one. So was the story solid? I mean, I know you get to like different Indian, but did you find the story, the narrative
Oh,
arc
but
was
it's
that
it's it's nice and nice little moving story, you know what I mean? Sometimes when you get the beat going, you're like, I want that song on my little Spotify playlist if I ever do say myself, depending on what choice you have. But I do actually I wish I wish that could happen to me. I know last time I said I want to get sucked in the telly in like 90s, but I wish that happened to Holtz. I can walk around and start singing and start saying to purple, how's your day? And then you start being late night texting, nothing of it. And I'm like, oh purple. And we just sort of like go off
we
from there.
just go. So if y'all
Yeah.
haven't seen the game that we're talking about, so last week, as I always do, I show the games I'm excited about, some games that are interesting. And last week we talked about Stray Gods, which is this musical, like it literally is like a musical. And the lyrics and the songs are all based upon like the choices you make in the game, as Holtz just said. And he picked it up. So I'm super excited about that because he's giving it a thumbs up. I know I saw it in a lot of the reviews. The Escapists, I really like their 3-minute reviews of games, and they gave it 9 out of 10, which is pretty solid. So yeah.
Now, to answer your second question, where I am actually gaming, I would actually say a very confused place. Because
R
when I actually last year when I joined Shades of Purple, I was like, oh yeah, we just come off from Stadia. I'm enjoying PlayStation 5 games. And now what I've done is I've sort of dipped my toe in everything. So
everything so
yeah,
define
so
everything, so it's
I
just
can
like
talk about the 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 great expanse of place from PC, Master Race, and with all these blah 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 to a handheld or something new like a wearable tech. And part of me is like, It's been great to test everything, but am I happy in the gaming space? Hmm. Sort of wishy-washy on a lot of factors, and maybe because I've got high expectations, or maybe I've already done it all before, so there's nothing new.
interesting. So, you know, last time you came on Holtz, obviously with everybody, we tell their gaming story, right? We tell their gaming journey, how they, where the first game play is, or if it's a creative, we ask them how did they start off, and then we bring it to present day, and then where they're going. And so last time you told us all about your story. You told us about how you kind of interacted with the community. Um, and it was kind of like everything out there, right? You kind of back then you told us that you play a lot, or you have all sorts of different genres and stuff. But you're saying right now, you're saying gaming i- is not in a good place.
I would say that what because I fall for marketing, I keep on hearing like marketing terms. Like say with PC, we're hearing like 120 to 240. So I run out being stupid. Oh my god, I need one of the best monitors ever. I'm gonna get this powerful PC and it's gonna improve my gaming. And then when I get it, I sit down, I go, oh, okay, it's cool, but it's not like ground shaking things. Like even with the PlayStation VR, wow, I'm playing it. Yeah, this is not groundbreaking neither. Because I've done it all before with PlayStation VR1, and I've had my ups and downs, and I feel like this is what it's happening in the space of VR for me. It's happening in the same space what happened previously in handheld, and it's happening again, and the same space of upgrading in PC. So I feel like I always run for the marketing, saying, I must talk about it, I must relate to other people, and I must, but I don't feel like it's giving me much that I expected in the past.
Interesting. So y'all, as y'all know, when we bring back on the alumni, and I saw your comment. Wait, I gave you a shout out. You were the first one of the first ones I gave you a shout out. And what's up, Ghost and Garage? Ghost and Garage, we got to bring you on to the show. If you're still out there, yeah, we need to bring you on eventually as well. And
And
as people, and as everybody knows, I'll be dropping a link. It's Holtz's episode. It's his alum. So this is where we can ask him all sorts of questions. And I think that I like this theme he's going off for this show right now, right? He's saying like he goes for the marketing, he goes for the games, and it sounds like you're let down, Holtz. It sounds like you're kind of
you
like
you know, purple, am I a spoiled brat?
I
And yeah, maybe that's what it is. Maybe I am spoiled. Maybe I've shot myself in the foot because I've ate too much cake and now I'm just full with too much.
So here's the reason I say that, Holtz. Here's the reason I kind of push back on the notion. I think 2023 is an amazing year for gaming, unless unless you dislike consolidation in the gaming industry. Other than that, 2023 is amazing, right? Like we've gotten arguably one of the best Zeldas ever. We've gotten a Final Fantasy, which is decent. We've gotten an amazing experience in this Larian Baldur's Gate 3. We got a Diablo came out. We've had several indies come
Okay,
through.
okay. So yeah, so let's talk Final Fantasy and Zeldas and all this. They've been and Mortal Kombat. They've been going on for 30 years plus. Even though I enjoy them, it's still not something. They are great experiences, but it's familiar to me. That's what I was trying to say, familiar. And the idea with these tech that I'm buying, I think I'm looking for the next big thing, the next IP, the next hardware to push gaming forward. And I feel like and that's what when last time I was on Shades of Babel, we've just came off the idea of cloud pushing the space. and
Correct.
we thought it was going to grow, and we had 4K 60, and there was loads of competition, and it was going to rival consoles. So to me, that was a future idea that I can get behind. And then it slowly declined, where I'm like, I can't have these services at the potential. So then I followed the marketing in the hardware physical space. That's saying, well, if you buy this, you're definitely going to get a solid 4K. Wrong. If you get this, you're going to have wrong. If you're going to have this, you're going to have more opportunities to play. So it's like handhelds, but then you're going to have low performance. So in the end, I've never found a middle ground of yet, and I think that's I am in this chaotic mindset now of gaming.
Where it's the newest, you need something else. You need something new to drive you.
So I've tried AR, VR, handhelds, stuff like that, and
AR,
and,
VR.
and
Only Mr. Urban World talks
maybe
about
that's the problem. I can't sink my teeth into something that I know will work. So when we just said Urban loves VR, AR, I tried it, and he loves it. People like Charity Man and Ace, they love the handheld. Tried it, and there's loads of people I can keep on naming in certain genres, and I think the marketing is spoiling us with everything, but I don't know where it's going to go next.
So what this is interesting, right? Because you mentioned cloud was driving you, right? And in Stadia, I think we would a lot of us would say Stadia is unique. It was like a cloud console, I would say, more than cloud gaming. But PlayStation just recently talked about what they're doing with cloud, and people are saying it's running at 4K, and so where does this fall?
Well, that's a lovely thing, but like, because Stadia came out and it was like up to 4K 60, and it was available on handhelds, televisions, smart devices, web browsers. That's what was exciting for me, to have access to it anywhere on whatever device I want. So yes, Sony's getting behind the marketing term saying it's going to be 4K 60. That's amazing, but how am I going to consume it on a PlayStation 5? On a web browser, or will I be able to play on a supported TV from Samsung, Sony? So that's what I need to know. I don't care about the power of it. I just want to know the access to it.
So if it comes out and they say like, yo, you can play this on your phone, they can play this on your TV, they come up with an app and it's like you need to have a PlayStation, but otherwise you can still what would that get you excited?
It'll be excited, but in the end, I would have to be very skeptical about it, because in the end, I've tried PlayStation Now previously when it was on a Sony Bravia TV and a PS Vita and stuff like that. So in the end, I would have to step back and go, "Red Sony, you demonstrate what you can do now." Because in the end, I fell for that before with Sony, and then later on with Stadia. So I would sort of have my guard up this time. I really want to enjoy the experience, but I think that they'll push the
So,
mark and support it on Sony devices first, and then wait later on for
s-
all the other.
so you for you gaming is more about you get excited about the tech. You don't necessarily get excited about the games, or is it both?
No, because when they first start off, they promote that's going to be everywhere, and we're working in partnership with X and Y. And I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be it. Then the timeline just takes too long to cement it in the gaming space that they promised at that time.
Interesting.
So
Interesting.
so so now I've known what it's like to have on live, and I know what it was like to have Stadia, and I know what it's like to have native apps like GeForce Now on my television. So when Sony comes up with 4K 60, I'm like, okay, where is it on supporting TVs, supporting monitors, supporting phones? That's what I want to start seeing. I want to see a full integration, not just baby steps. If you keep on saying baby steps, I'm going to look back and go, it's just like we seen back in the day with the beta access and the beta this. I'm not going to see it as a full feature or a full service.
It's interesting. You mentioned Sony. Strange enough, where my mind has been going lately uh is Samsung. When we talk to, and I see people talking about monitors and so forth. Do you think Samsung has could get you excited about something? Right? You know, they've
No, it has. I mean, I tried the idea of the gaming hub, and what I ran out and bought a really really nice Samsung monitor that had the gaming hub on. And then once when I booted it up, I realized that even though it was marketed with the idea of GeForce Now, it's not fully. supported. Like the resolution doesn't support it, the aspect ratio. Some games don't have high dynamic range. And when you play it on like this top range marketing device, you think you're going to get the level of like GeForce Now Ultimate. And when you sit down and you start realizing the flaws of it, you start going, "Oh, come on!" And then you research on the internet and says coming in the future, and you're like, "Why have I just run out and bought this monitor then that they just told me if it's not fully supported?" So that's what I feel like is going to happen with Sony. They're going to push a narrative, and then it's going to trickle slowly into future hardware, and by that time it'll be a bit slow.
So, question: when did this not happen, though? When has this not happened that we've seen a tech that's been teased or flirted with, and then and
That's
then
the
it
problem.
gradually?
I think that's what they do. They flirt too much and they don't deliver on the promise, and I feel that's what happens. No second date from me, you know. So I feel like they
Tough.
need to hurry up because I'm pretty sure they got all this infrastructure in place. They've tested it. They know what the ambition is in the next 10 years. I just feel like they haven't got the player base to fully push it. Should I say,
So, where does that leave you
in a confused space?
in a confused space? So gaming. So are you saying that over the last year you've been just not excited? You've been in the community, but really harboring these feelings of gaming is not doing it for me.
I think you know what it is I've been running out buying the high ends of everything. Instead sitting back and letting stuff mature and come out like a lower price of entry. I've always jumped in as like the sort of early adopter, thinking it's already going to be cemented. And then when I actually buy it, I start seeing flaws that I can't keep on saying, "Oh yeah, I recommend other people to run out and get it." I'm like, wait 2 years until this happens on this display. Wait 2 more years until they fully get this. So I'm more skeptical.
So let's see. So you said you. So what is the most recent tech you just bought? Mr. Urban World has given you a shout out to your amazing tech collection. What have you bought recently?
So 2 months ago, I bought a Samsung Odyssey OLED G9 49-inch monitor with all smart features, and it had all the game range.
What? You
So
bought the 49-inch monitor, the one that has like the turn bevel thing?
well, I already had the old model, but now I got the smart model because I knowing me, oh my god, I'm going to play
Are
Cloud.
you on it right now? Are you talking on it right now?
I'll tell you the funny. Well, no, I'm on the main, the old one. The second
Can
one's.
you show us that the other one?
I can send you a old picture of my old layout on Twitter.
Yeah,
Very
that's,
easy.
if you can send the picture, we can maybe like try to pull that up. I'm curious because I've seen the monitor. I saw this when it came out last year, right? Because it came out like last year, right? It's like 3,500. It came out at like $3,500, and I thought that was cute, but I didn't know anybody had got it. So I'm
See, so the whole idea is, all the marketing terms, 240 hertz, this big, huge pixel, this, all this, and smart features with GeForce Now, and you're going to get this. And when I loaded it up, I was like, yeah, okay, this ain't what I'm expecting. And then by the time they will support it, there'll be something else out that's new.
so
Um,
if you can send it to me, I will try to load it into my.
I'm looking for a picture. I could just easily stand back and take a picture.
You could do that.
Come on, people. Everyone say cheers in the chat. So,
I'm curious. I'm curious. This is exciting. This is exciting. We're seeing your setup.
if I don't click on actually record video. So go ahead, asking another question why I'm actually taking a picture.
What's that?
Take that.
Cheese. Purple. Yo, you think so, bro? Thank you. Thank you. I like smiling. Smiling makes me happy. Or maybe when I'm happy, I smile.
When you're smiling.
Um,
This is going in record mode. I don't know why.
Hey, how are you going, Jinx? So Remy actually was at doggy daycare all day today. So he gave it his last little go. He finished his pig ear and he's underneath the table asleep. So uh your teeth don't show, Roster. Oh no. But yeah, Remy is doing well. Thank you. He, like I said, he is worn out today. But if you all did not know and you're just joining, we are doing our second Shades of Purple with an alumni, and this is Hoults. Uh, Shades of Purple alumni from a little over a year ago. And we're talking about where he's been since gaming. And recently, he was super excited about, well, he wasn't super excited, but he was excited about Cloud last year because it really pushed forward. He thought it was pushing forward gaming with Stadia and so forth. But now he's saying that he's not excited. He's saying he goes out and gets technology and he's let down. And I wonder if this is like what the other what tech influencers feel like. They go out and buy everything.
I was like, why is it not taking a picture? Then realized there's a countdown on it. I was like, why is there a countdown on it? I was like,
So y'all can see why it took us a second to get our sound working today. Because
I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that story behind it.
I'll just take it like 5 minutes to take a picture.
It's bad. It's bad because you need proper.
So this could be a problem, right? This could actually be the thing, right? So this Holtz is a gamer who likes to get the best technology and everything. However, as we can see right now, it's taking him a second to take a picture with his camera.
There's so many stuff on these. I feel like an old person. God, back in my day, there used to just be one share button to one thing, and now I have to click on everything and download.
Hey, Jerry man, we're here with Holtz trying to see his gaming setup because he has the 49-inch Samsung G9 Odyssey. There's probably some permutation of those words. Gaming monitor.
No, it's a man's sacred space. I don't actually want you seeing all gaming figures and characters and
What is
other
the
stuff.
gaming channel? It's a gaming channel.
Oh, yeah.
You sent it?
Yeah.
Okay, you sent it? Okay.
I've got a funny story as well.
All right. When it comes through, sent a photo. All right, let's see if I can pull this up.
Now, no one copy suit because this is I wouldn't recommend it. This is just for some narcissistic type of gamers that you just And what's happened is.
Let's see. Actually, I don't know if I can pull it up there. So, what we're going
Oh,
to
look
do...
who's not using the tech now, eh? I take ages to.
Oh no. You see, we can do some stuff here. Let's do this.
Show us that magic. Not them text messages.
Oh, whoa! Look at that! See, it took, what is that? Like 10 seconds. So here is Holtz's gaming setup. So Holtz, walk us through. Let's see if we can make this any bigger. I don't know if I can, but let's walk us through what we're looking at right now, right? So we are seeing. Can I make this there?
Okay, right. So the top monitor is a Samsung Odyssey G9. So this is the last model. This is the QD LED. So this is 240 hertz. It's got 1000 plus local dimming zones. It's got HDR. It's got all that kind of stuff. So this is a great monitor that I use in a standing position. So if you look there, I've got everything on ergonomic arms. So I sort of elevate it up to stand, which I am doing now. And then when I want sort of that OLED quality, I move down to the monitor, which is more smart features. So that's got
wait. So this up here is the old one.
Yes.
And this is a monitor right here in the bottom underneath the microphone.
Yes. So that is the new Odyssey G9 OLED.
Yo, if y'all did not catch that, Holt has a 49-inch that's on. He has a bottom 49-inch. Like if y'all you can't see my mouse, but the thing it's a black screen, is another 49
Yeah,
inch.
so the top one is at 1000 R curvature, QD LED. So it's a aspect ratio of 105, 120 by 1440p. So therefore, if you times by them, well, you sort of get like a 5K picture. But in the end, it's still in a 1440p at a 32.9 aspect ratio. The one below it is a 1800R curvature monitor
I don't know what you're saying, Holtz, right now. You're
at
saying numbers with random letters.
OLED quality. So between the two, one's got like sort of a ratio of a peak brightness relating to quantum dot LED with, and then the other one's
Tony.
got a standard of peak brightness through OLED and stuff like that. See, tech. It's
What? So all right. So like, yeah, Tony's like, meh. um. So do you game on these at the same time?
I can run them at the same time if I wanted to, and I can play it, but I think it's just stupid because I've got a gap in between. The bezels, I wouldn't put them together. I could game on the same time. I've got a GPU that could easily run
What is
120.
this standing on? Is this on a desk or do you have this mounted on the wall? Like what?
No, it's mounted on the wall. I did have a desk, but then I just decided to drill stuff in the wall. Zzz, zzz, zzz.
And so you have they're drilled into the wall, and so here at the bottom you have this keyboard. What is this like DJ thing on the right?
That is a Rodecaster. See, this is a Rodecaster Pro 2. Um, so this is where the audio interface comes in. So if I wanted loads of channels, or I was going to be, like I said, I was going to podcast. So if I wanted multiple inputs, microphones and headphones, I can sort of manage it all on this, and it's a portable device. And this is what I use to give my audio stuff and mic gains and stuff like that.
Wow. So y'all, if you watched the first Holtz's Shades of Purple last year, he talked about how he was going to become a podcaster, right? He was going to do content creation and then he kind of dabbled in it and then he came back. This is incredible, right?
So the whole point is this is where I say to people all the time that I do follow the market, and when I'm sitting there speaking about people when they mention about their local dimming zones or their hits, I understand it. I come from a background. I'm a consumer, but I keep it sort of low key. I just go, it's not, and then
Yo,
so
I
you can see why I'm so Mr. Urban World. You can see he sees all the time what I post and all that, and he'll say the same. Yeah, spoiled, confused. Yeah, he'll agree.
Yeah, I mean, we'll take this up. We may bring this back up later.
So what happened is, so I had a desk, I had a standing desk, and then when I realized I was actually cluttering the desk more, and I was having a hard time cleaning underneath the desk, hitting wires and pulling wires. So I thought to myself, I would want a setup where I can sort of stand and sit at the same time. So behind me is a gaming seat. You've seen last stream that I was sitting down, but if I want to, I can sort of toggle between cameras and just sit down, and then I've got that, which you see YouTubers do, but this is more for like workflow, so I can just sort of multitask and navigate a lot.
multitask. You
So I
multitask,
can.
you can like game this is like the equivalent of like
So if you wanted to,
7
you
monitors.
can split these screens into the idea. So this aspect ratio is 32.9, so it's like it's two set 27-inch monitors put together, should I say?
Oh, this is impressive, Holtz.
So the idea is like what I've mentioned this before. The top one is a 1000 R curvature, which is
I know
supposed
what this
to
means.
represent the curvature of an eye.
I
So
I
when
don't even
people
know
were
what this
talking about
means.
VR, I was like, if I put a racing game on this, I feel the feel of view and the curvature gives me more of an immersion in a racing game than I do when I'm playing a VR title. So this is where I'm coming from when I'm actually.
So what Holtz just said, let me pull this. This is incredible. This is incredible. So what you essentially just said, Holtz, is that you know, right here, this is how much? $7,000 worth of monitors?
No, I'm not going to clarify Yeah, you Google it. I'm staying modest. Me, I'm
This is like $7,000,
look.
$8,000 worth of
This is.
monitor.
I'm going to ask you. Like, this is why Hoults is single. This is why he doesn't get out. You know, it's gaming is life.
Yeah, this
And do you know
is
what, people? I didn't want all this. This is not what I wanted. I just
this is
wanted a
not what you wanted?
I just wanted a telly with Stadia. I just wanted a cloud telly and sit there and it's all fully into. I didn't want to follow the market of PC Master Races and all this other stuff. I just wanted to sit with Stadia and enjoy with a controller. That's what I wanted.
Oh my gosh, just a controller. When did you buy these monitors?
Last year and so 15 months ago. I had it when I was on Shades of Purple, the first one, and the
So
second
first you
one,
had the top one, and then you got the
and the second
second
one
one,
2 months ago came out in June. And
and
then
you're like, let me just go drop.
and if you follow Samsung, they've got a new one coming out in
Oh, you
September.
can put it right there in the middle. Then you can have
Yeah,
all three.
loads of room. This is a 57-inch, two 4K monitors at 57 inches.
So you're saying the new one's 57?
Yes, so that's bigger and wide at 240 hertz.
Oh my gosh! So this means
So if you want two 4K monitors and you've got the space for it. I mean, that's why you never see my lower half. I've just sold body parts. I've sold two kidneys, toes, legs. I'm sort of a gay. I just sell parts. That's it.
that's it. That's it. Oh
That's
my
it.
god. Well, I mean, I am. I'm impressed. I'm also like, wow. So for sure, you would say like you follow the market. They said this is amazing. They said here you need this 49-inch monitor. It's gonna up your gaming experience. You got the 49-inch monitor. You're saying actually downgraded my gaming experience.
So yeah, so in the end, you will hear terminology like OLED and peak brightness and true blacks at this range, and you're like, I need that. How does it compete with me telly? Then when you sit down and watch it, you go, ah, fell for that one again, didn't I? Fell for that. So there's a lot of things to compare between a monitor and a TV, or how you actually game in general. So if you're happy with what you consume on, then don't listen to the market. And this is why I'm confused. What I do, Samsung will announce it at like CES in January and tell us this is the way the future of gaming is. But they say, and it's out now. They say the future's here. And then when you actually play it, you realize, well, you've bought a future-proof device at a premium price, but the future is not here yet. So
You have me thinking. So you're telling me if we enjoy gaming now, this is actually a really relevant conversation,
So
right?
no, but
Because
a lot of people sit there and go, for example, oh my god, you have to play games at 60 FPS. I can't play it at 30. Right there, but the industry's telling us to play at 120, 240 now.
you
And they
can't
go,
even
oh,
see 240.
see,
I
so this is the issue. You can't see past a certain refresh rate or a certain pixel density. So when they keep on telling us I'm moving to 8K, can the human eye see it? Can they?
so I would say, well, I let me clarify. I think it would take someone who's extremely well trained to see something at 240 frames per second. I have to remind people what 240 frames per second is, basically almost 1,000 frames every 4 seconds.
And you have to realize that this is why, and I say this to Urban all the time, this is why I don't like YouTubers, because they will sell a product because they have to promote it because that's their paycheck. And you'll never say anything bad because they want the products. Where me, I'm like, I get them, then I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't say that because people are only promoting it because they don't want to get hurt. For example, I won't get hurt if someone says, yeah, Paul, can you really see 240? I go, no. Why did you get it? Because. So the idea is there's a debate to happen, but a lot of gamers will say, you must have this, it's 248. But at what games? What games can run at this power? What GPU? What price eventually will actually power this beast? Even one of them, for example. But they don't tell you that. And that's why you run out and you buy the best graphics card, for example, like a 4090, and you think it's going to power it, and then you run it, you check your clock speeds, you check your temperatures, and you go, I'm so close to hitting it, but you're not. So then that's why you have to wait for the next iteration, and then hence you run out again and buy the next GPU, the next monitor, the next. The circle never stops.
So you're saying it's all you're saying marketing is
Me,
designed to get you
I
out to
wish,
buy stuff.
I wish these companies just stood back a little bit and said, what we're going to do is we're going to go more green, less power consumption. We're going to make less noise. We're going to start thinking how to optimize our products to get these. At the moment, they're just throwing flashy things out and mentioning raw power. If you got the money and you've got the power and you got the electricity and you don't care that
Well,
it sounds like a jet engine, this is for you.
what about isn't this what Xbox is doing?
Yeah, so that's why I applaud some people just taking a step back and just saying, okay, we're gonna focus on our optimization and low carbon footprints and stuff like that, and then don't worry what the market's going in the future. They're gonna use terminology to keep on pushing displays because they want to keep on making money each year. Like Apple, they keep on pushing it, but do you really need the latest Apple phone every year? The answer is no, but you run out with to follow the market.
I actually don't. So I actually I actually don't get the most recent
Yeah,
stuff.
but we've seen how much Apple's worth, for example. So
Yes,
people,
Apple's worth I think they just recently dropped below 3 trillion. They were above it, but now they pulled back.
now the whole point
Um
is, and a lot of people could actually sit there and talk about that's like these experiences by using multiple monitors at a higher refresh rate. The PC gaming space have had it for years, but the problem is that they've never had the GPU power to utilize it to its fullest. So that's why I'm trying to say, stop aiming for these higher targets that we're not getting delivered on, and step back and hit games at 30, even 60 if you can, and give us the best thing a developer can actually produce. Because I don't blame developers. The developers keep on saying if the average consumer can actually put the hand more in the pocket, then we'll produce more higher quality. But at this moment, we're just stuck in a, a place where average consumers can't come out and keep on doing this. So that's hence why we're at the resolution and the frames we're at now. But
it's
if you go
because
on
the
YouTube,
average
if you go into YouTube and the marketing, they will tell you that it's in we're in 8K now, we're in this now, we're in this.
well, Project Storm for sure would say we're in 8K. He games in 8K.
8K. Upscaled 8K.
No, he says he games in 8K. Project Storm gets games in 8K.
Yeah. Oh, I can sit there and name frame rates and stuff like that, but I'm not one of them type of YouTubers or consumers that will sit there and say.
That will say that. So
And
I
this
mean,
is a,
I agree. So I wholeheartedly agree, right? I wholeheartedly for me, I was on a Doc Dark 1985. Uh he and I were talking, I forget, it was one of his streams, he does these after he posts videos and whatnot. And he was talking about the difference between a Series S and a Series X. Because I have both. Right? I have them. He's like, can you tell the difference? I can't. I can't tell the difference.
and,
Now, granted, am I looking for it? Oh, Mr. Paul, great to see you, Mr. Byron Plays.
And this
Your
is why,
country.
as a gamer, I sit there and say that I have the most weirdest preferences in gaming compared to a lot of people. A lot of people always say frame rates and resolution, but me, I'm like, first and foremost, I want ray tracing and high definition HDR because I want my colors to pop. I want everything to look more immersive. Second one, I like field of view. The further the field of view I got and the wider the aspect ratio, the more immersive I'm feeling. Then I focus on frame rates because I can't focus on frame rates first at this size of a monitor because it'll hit the frame rate so hard. So I'm glad there's actually technology or powerful GPUs that I can use DLSS or FSR and stuff like that to boost the frames where everything else I couldn't generate a fake ray tracing and I couldn't generate a fake field of view. So I go for them first. And then people go, Hoults, you can't say resolutions last. Yes, I can. Because what I've learned is as a consumer who's run after these big, 1080 to 1440 to 4K to 8K, I can realize that I'm not seeing big gains where if I focus on HDR, textures, and fields of view, I'm seeing huge improvements in my gaming. But then if you speak to a lot of gamers, they'll say to you, Holtz, you just got the weirdest preference. But that's what
No, if that's what you get. So I actually, the thing that to me changes the gaming experience, no one talks about. but I think it is actually the one thing that can really take a gaming experience from meh to amazing. Like everybody talks about monitors. Some people talk about these controllers that can moonlight as a vibrator. Some people talk about like whether it's frame rates or pixels. The one thing I focus on in gaming that I will like the first thing for my gaming setup that I put money towards or I put the most money towards is audio. I don't think people focus on audio as much as they
Well, I mean,
should.
I focus quite a lot on audio. I totally agree with you, and I've got a friend who is more GPU. He focuses on visuals. And I think it was like in the PlayStation 3 era, it was round about Last of Us, when a person actually said, I think it was like, no, so the importance of having great gaming audio in gaming. And that's when we started seeing gaming headsets for Call of Duty and stuff like that, immersive 3D surroundings. And I jumped on board, but every time I speak to a lot of people they will actually focus on video aspects, but not audio. So in the end,
Yeah.
I feel like you are the minority trying to say, I think
No, I
audio
think
is improved.
audio's I'm not even saying a gaming. Like gaming headset. So I own what is this?
You own
Bose
the
and
Dolby Atmos.
Bose and Olufsen headsets, gaming headsets. I have both. I have two of them because Remy got a hold of one, and then I ended up he didn't break it, but I thought he broke it, so I actually have two. But I actually yes, I use Sonos. I use another one, and I'm about to upgrade to that even further, just because like I, I just don't think like headsets are okay. Like headsets are good.
Mhm.
Um, but I don't think headsets do the same like with spatial sound
Yeah.
that speaker system, a sound system can do. Like
Yes.
we don't listen to sound in a vacuum, right? Like
Yes.
we listen sound
And
to
you
where
can emulate it, but like as you know, it's still not the full
yes, you
experience,
can't
is it? Yeah.
do you can't and so that's why and so like to really emulate sound or not to emulate it, but like it just doesn't compare. Like I've tried this. Like
Mhm.
in the reason why is because like high end headsets are actually not designed or like for audio engineers. That
Well
like there's a point to where
this is the point where I just mentioned about HDR. If you're a creative, you can spend $50,000 on a true HDR monitor, right? And developers will say, well, our game could look better if we could all afford that monitor that Rockstar's got. Hence why our game doesn't look as good because we haven't got all the best tech. So I feel like there's an argument where what we can expect, like what a developer can produce at that cost, and what we should expect at using our wallet. Because the average consumer is not going to run out and buy Dolby Atmos. They're not going to run out and buy
yeah.
a, 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 a standard of HDR that they haven't got a clue. They're going to walk in with a price tag and go, "Okay, I'm looking for a screen that benefits me," and the marketing's going to say, "Well, this is the best gaming monitor, and you'll love Netflix," but you're not really getting the bells and whistles of where the actual tech is at that point.
No, I totally hear you. I want to bring up this comment. Rouster says sometimes I'm on Discord and can't even hear the game because I hear the people I'm playing with. It was like that with Purple in Orcs Must Die 3, and I agree. I guess what I'm saying holds for me, and I don't think we're disagreeing. I think the point I'm making is uh sound and audio design, if done correctly, is is the game changer to
Well, look
me.
at it. Yeah, look at this. Sony came out when the PlayStation 5 came out, and he promoted that they were going to bring a new sound engine out with a new headphone to do 3D spatial audio, and he promoted it. And you've seen the developers going, "This is the new way to play games." And then since the PlayStation 5, you hear nothing of it because it's went back to the same stupid resolution and frames
Because
rate.
that's what people
Yeah,
say is
exactly.
important,
But
and it's to me, it's like you there's a point. Like I said, someone well-trained can maybe see something from 120 to 240. Even from 60 to 120, I question if the majority of people can actually tell
but,
that.
but what I'm trying to say is that we had marketing to tell us where the future of gaming was. So, for example, Years ago, it was HDR, then it was sound, and then really, who's apart from me mentioning it and you mentioning something like that, no one's really mentioned it because the marketing's fell back to the mold. What sells? Sony's not selling headphones with all this spatial
So
sound.
technically, Sony has one of the best headphones on the market right
Yeah, but they're
now.
not. I'm talking about with the PlayStation 5 in the
I know, I know. I know, I know, I know. I'm not disagreeing with you. Right? The companies are going to say the market wants visual, so we're going to market to you visually. I think what I am saying is for gamers, I kind of part of me dies. No, it doesn't. It doesn't die at all. No, it doesn't die at all. But part of me like rolls its eyes. That's probably what happens. Part of me rolls its eyes when I hear people constantly talking about the visual part of gaming and not so many of these other aspects of gaming. And then when you see them and then they have like a
Well, I don't think many gamers have got this space. You know, if you think about the family gamer, they're not going to install surround sound speakers, ceiling
yes, yeah,
protectors.
I'm not saying you have to do that. I'm not saying
Well,
you
I'm not,
just like yeah.
the market allows the same with me with my monitors. It's the very space consuming, aren't they? The large and stuff. And if I wanted a full array of sound just to get the perfect audio, that's a very niche. Just like my monitors are very niche, but they are premium in the idea in the gaming space.
Yeah, I think so I think niche is fine. What I would say is I guess the person who annoys me in gaming is the one that would have an amazing we'll talk forever about their graphics card, their GPU, or I guess that's their graphics card. Right? They'll talk about their GPU, they'll talk about their monitor, they'll talk about all that. And then I look at the headset that they're using and it's like a $20 headset.
Mhm.
This is that's not you. I'm not saying you, but I'm just
I
saying
was
that.
I was gonna say, hey, leave my $20. So I created these
But
myself.
that's who, like why like obviously sound cards aren't as exciting. I don't even think sound cards are in some PC builds.
Well, you
Uh
see, you've never seen a MIDI interface. You've never seen. You mean you related it to the idea of a DJ, but this is this is a streaming device. This is a audio interface. You've never seen one of these.
no, I have. I mean, I've seen something look like it, but I wanted you to explain what it was. So just so y'all know what we're talking about, I'll pull it back up again.
So
This is Hoults'
this is
setup,
a
y'all.
multiple channel audio interface. So in the end, we can do XLR, we can do line inputs, we can do
This
Bluetooth,
is Hoults' setup, y'all. If you're just joining us, this is
we,
Hoults' setup.
we can
Two
do Bluetooth.
49-inch monitors, two.
And in the end, you've got touchpads that can do sort of macro inputs, or you can do the funny, you can do the funny effects.
You know, if he wants to talk like this, you know,
What?
sound like a beetle. So
You already sound like a beetle.
I would sound like a Beatle, or maybe I should and you can change all this. So in the end, if I was podcasting and say you weren't here on the sort of the stream, and I was ringing on the phone, I can bring you in through Bluetooth through a call and stuff like that, and I can bring other people that are remote or people that here got multiple microphones. You can sit around stable, and in the end, this is the equipment to sort of manage them audio levels. So if you're coming in with too much gain, purple, I can drop you down. If you had to prefer headphones, you want a little bit tinker higher. This is what it all you sort of tinker with instead doing it from the Windows side of it, for example. So because like I said in past episodes, I admitted that I was visually impaired. So sitting there navigating stuff with a mouse pointer and trying to find subsections of settings really frustrates me. So in the end, I like actually having it at arm's reach where I can just.
So Holt, the chat wants to know what else you can do with this this colorful sound thing, audio.
So apart from putting presets, so in the end, I can click the record button. So if I wanted to take this device,
I can click the record. You
no,
don't
no, no,
press
no,
sound effects
right,
to
no.
record.
If I disconnected this device right now, I could take it into a park with a microphone, for example, totally remote, not connected to a PC, and I can click record and it'll be, welcome to the alumni stream in a park. And I could add effects literally remotely. And it will record to an SD card and then I can bring it and upload it. And this has got like a wireless Ethernet cable, so there's nothing stopping any idea of sticking a wireless connection on it and then sending it to remote cloud services, and then someone tinkers with it.
Did you just
So,
say it has a wireless Ethernet
no, it's
cable?
got an Ethernet cable, but I'm trying to say that if you bought a wireless router and then took it with you on the go that uses 5G network, you can just plug it in, couldn't you, via the Ethernet cable?
Mine is
So in the end, this is a router. So if I wanted to go, say, to Purple's house, I could put this in a bag, and I'll bring my microphone. I'm like, yeah, Purple, here's the internet. And we could just, without no displays, without no PCs, we could just sit around with microphones and we could talk about anything. And
Oh, Geek, are you feeling challenged when Geek is out there with the
so the whole,
sound
so the whole,
headphones?
so if you haven't got a voice for radio and stuff like that, you can mess around with the idea of the effects on your voice. So you can make it more deeper, you can make it more cleaner, you can mess around with the decibel volumes and stuff like that. There's loads of things to do. I don't mess around with it. I just turn it on. But yes, for people that have more sound engineering, it's really a good little
Yeah,
thing.
it looks like something for sound engineering.
Yeah, but and then that's a different point. If you argue with sound engineers, they're always going to talk about headsets and inputs and stuff like that. So that's a different.
No,
So
well,
that's why I've got these studio headphones, and you never see me with gaming headphones, so I can sort of. So
so you,
these are closed off noise cancellation headphones, so I can't hear anyone else. Urban knows the joke that I can't hear if someone breaks into my house, but it's sort of echoing my voice through the headphones, so I can hear you, me, and everyone else at the same time. So.
did the headphones. Well, Holtz, we are going to continue this conversation. Anybody wants to join to ask Holtz any type of questions that you've always been meaning to ask him, we
I,
are
I
going.
I had loads of stories, and for some reason, it just went on to technology.
No. Oh, well, you can still talk about your
No,
stories.
no, no, no. I'm just like it's all right. Go with the flow. Go with the flow. If anyone's got any questions,
Yeah, no, if anybody has any questions about Holt, his setup, his sound, but let's go with some stories here. We're here for stories.
no. See, you just threw me off. Now I had a set of stories that I had, but I didn't know that that's the pacing of the show. So you have to ask me a story.
Oh no, Holt, this is your show. You're an alumni. You told us you've told us your gaming story, right? And there are stories that we did not hit on that we talked about after the show last time.
Well, okay. So my background, and why I'm joking around say about alumni, my background is in computer science and internet security, and that is my background. So you can see why I sort of like to integrate into technology. I sort of keep humble about it because in the end, I don't really want to talk about it. Because in the end, I always feel like I'm shooting myself in the foot because I'm getting too far ahead in the idea of the game. So part of me wants to step back and just consume gaming as a fun aspect. But as you see, there's a problem in me spending and
Well,
utilizing.
I wouldn't say it's a problem. I would say it's an addiction.
Well, this is where my main hobby comes from, in a sense. So I like to consume media. Like I love going to the cinema, and then I love doing it in my home environment to test the difference. And I love to pick at stuff like sounds or visuals, and I love to do all that myself. I'm not that person that looks at a frame counter. I'm not the person that goes and it will sell all the stuff as other YouTubers will do. I just like to consume it in my way, and then if anyone asks, I'll pass the opinion. Which Mr. Edwell does ask all the time, and every time he does it, I come more from like a sort of 50-50 person. I'm just in the middle, and he goes, "Wow, you don't seem too enthusiastic." I'm like, "Oh, it is, it is."
Look, now you know why. Now we know why. Well, and I'm looking at chat right now, and I see all your $5 headphones, Urban. Here's the thing. And I'm gonna challenge Geek on this. Geek the Sneak, he's in chat.
So, Pebble,
I can hear the difference. Like I can hear it.
okay, here we go. We're going to devil's advocate here. We can sit there and we just mention frames and visuals, and I just
Yeah.
mentioned about marketing gimmicks and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Is there a part of you that you fall for a marketing gimmick, especially in the sound space, where you feel like you research, you follow, you consume, you go to shot, and then you sit there and you have this experience, and then someone goes, but you're not getting a true.
No, I mean,
You are.
what I will do is I will test it out. Like I'm the type of person where I will go test out, like if it's a new headset, like headsets, like I said, I don't really, sometimes I have, like I think I have a very solid one, and I'll go listen to it, and it really depends on how you like to listen. There is a point to where it, at least for like, are you more about audios? Are you more about lows, mids, highs? Do
Mm.
you want a full? Do you want a warm sound? Do you want a sharp? So in the sound profiles of the different headsets will eventually do that. So I think for me, I have like my headsets that I think are solid. They're all in the same ballpark.
I mean,
Um, so yeah.
I've got headsets. I don't know, about a few up there from certain ranges. But me, I don't really go from the, like I said, the highs, the lows, the basses, the trebles, stuff like that. I focus more on the sort of form factor, the comfortability factor. Like I don't mind seeing people walk around with the ear pods, but to me, I'm very accidental. I can't do that, so I have to have something that looks more aesthetic and comfortable, but then offer the same features and things that I like. I mean, this is weird, but
Yeah, that's
I love actually having assistants in my headphones. So I'll go Google, da, 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 and people go, "Why do you want that in your headphones?" I'm like, "Because I love being integrated into my phone. I love sitting there just saying skip song, call someone."
ah.
So in the end, so when I have a headphone, I need something that's got audio input and output, not just
No, like I said, I think at a certain point, so to answer your question, do I fall? I'm sure I fall to a degree, but there's a point to where I know what I like, and unless there's something that it's kind of like games, right? Y'all will hear me talk about. I go to this, like if there's no games to play, like I'll never say that because I love certain games so many times. I'll go back to because I know what I like. So when it comes to products like tech, like, I know what I like, I'll be able to see if it's
to.
better, if it's not.
So from my point of view, like I see, you can see Samsung, you can see LG behind me, you can see Series X, Sony. You can see a lot of like I get along with every manufacturer. There's no fanboy in here. But from your sound point, do you actually have a preference that could fall in the idea of fanboyism? Wait, or
Fangirlism, and hey,
fangirlism?
Al Davis Music. Al Davis Music, such a
Do you feel like there's a brand that you always go to by default without actually considering the market? Or you defend them just a little bit, you defend them just a little bit more than you would someone else?
hardware?
Well, you just mentioned Sony, you mentioned Sonos, you mentioned, the one that you the 2 that
Headphones? No. No.
no, it's in sound, it could be headphones, it could be
In sound, no.
home theater.
Mm-mm. I mean, I think, like, no, if anything, I listen to the different headphones so I could recommend different headphones. Like, I could
Yeah.
recommend different sound systems. I know what I like, but I would never tell someone, like, don't go to
Yeah. Do you
Bose.
remember back in the day where you could walk into mega stores or malls and you could pick up the headphones and test them, and you could play around with the soundtrack and
I
listen
think
to
you
the
can still
song?
do that. You can still do that in
Oh,
some
not round here, yeah, not
not
round
where
mine.
you're at?
No, you know what I mean? They're like, that we off it goes.
But here's the reason why I wouldn't wanna do that, though, because a lot of times you don't know if those how long that driver's been, like, pushing,
Yeah, true.
like, someone coulda just had it cranked all the way up on a track. It coulda really messed up the
And so when so from a video aspect, we sit there now. I've mentioned about like TLSS, which is like sort of upscaling fake frames, and the idea of like AI upscaling on televisions can always improve video performance that sells that uh, technology. Do you like it when sort of the sound will bring upscaling, or it will actually bring like if you buy these, you get lossless audio, you get this to this. Do you feel like wireless versus wired? Do you feel like connection types from Trez 3.5 to XLRs and stuff like that? Did you follow all that in your range headphones?
for my headphones? To a
Yes.
degree.
Oh,
To a degree, I don't necessarily follow the tech of I follow the tech of the actual driver and the speaker. Like, I follow that. I don't necessarily follow, like, the difference between or the wireless or the non-wireless or the, um Bluetooth fed versus HDMI I forget what it's called, QLED fed. I don't. To me, it's not about that. I always just go to what is the sound. Like I like warm sounds, right? So I like a warm sounding, whatever, full warm sounds,
Do you,
and so I gravitate towards that.
there you go.
There, there.
I was actually going to sit there and say, like, do you like warm in the idea of like when you see color on a display? Because you can always go like, do you want it more cooler? Do you want it more warm, neutral? Do you ever
On
think
displays, I like cooler on displays, but in sound, I like warm sounds. Like I like a very like rich, warm sound. I guess all people would say sounds rich, but I think there is definitely the difference between a
you don't really
warm
you don't
or
really
a
see when you see in the gaming space. You don't really see people explain about these levels of temperatures or mood settings when you actually see the game. And I feel like that's very tricky when you can say to a person, for example, this game looks amazing because it's got AI upscaling. This is because it's got enhancements, got AI sounds or
yeah.
whatever.
I mean, I think so.
And that's not
What?
on the hard, the PlayStation 5, for example, advantage. That's on the telly's advantage. But place for some strange reason, the gaming device still gets the merit.
Yeah, I think one. If you notice when I talk about like Xbox or PlayStation or Nintendo, I don't really talk about it from like the console point of view. To me, it's just like that's where it's like the computer where I get the content. What I talk about are games. Because I do think there's a difference in um obviously there's a difference in developers and what they produce, but I really follow certain publishers because I think publishers do a better job of like curating content. And so there's certain publishers I follow.
Well, see, I was going to mention this before, like accessibility. Accessibility to a console is one of my major factors. So I
Right.
love a clean interface. I love when you can load up a console and the first thing you do is go customization, personalization of the user interface. And a lot of people sit there and go, oh, I only care about performance. But I'm like, oh, come on. That is part of the experience to see a clean interface. And then, of course, due to my needs, I like to sort of tinker with all that to actually get the best experience for my experience. But you never really hear people talk about that because in the end, the focus on performance. So there's some features that I like in gaming. So if I sit there and I talked about like a Santa Monica or Naughty Dog, I love the love and care that they put in for accessible disability gamers.
And they're known for that.
And then know that, and then in the idea, I've played loads of games this year that I sit there and go, there's well-being accessibility. So a person that gets triggered or they've got sensory disorders. I love when a developer can think of other people without hurting their main product. But a lot of developers will sit there and go, no, we're not going to put it in, it drains too much. But I love the idea behind it when developers go, okay, let's consider put this in to help more accessible gamers to join the space, and let's consider more hardware adaptation to bring more gamers into the fold. I think that's more important in today's world than the idea of a developer talking about resolutions and frames.
Yeah, no, I think obviously, I mean, I think this is something relative. Some developers have been doing it for a while. But yeah, I think for sure developers who are putting more thought into accessibility. But obviously, Coach, you know this. You know that developers who focus on accessibility will be obviously considered woke, right? Like woke studios and so forth. And
Well, I don't know when you see like so we're talking like Santa Monica and Naughty Dog. Are they woke in the gaming space?
well, I think Santa Monica with probably I don't know. I think some people would have said
And then you've got sort of you've got
Santa Monica was woke.
I don't know. I've never really heard woke in the idea of features. I've always thought woke was
Well,
more of a narrative and story and politics.
I think woke. Well, for one, I think no one really can define woke for me.
Yeah, I
I
can
mean,
agree with
obviously, I know what people would define it as, but it's more of a rhetorical question. when I asked define woke. But yeah, I think when you're talking about accessibility in gaming, right? And you're talking about the allowing people to game, and providing more opportunities for people to game.
Hmm.
You're right next to another cousin of that, which is people seeing themselves in games. And then once you start getting into people seeing themselves in games, then it's like people hearing stories about themselves in games. And then now they're all in the same vein, like the same type of product inclusion type of people who put
Uh,
accessibility are putting it across everything. Right. But
it's
in,
because I see what you're saying, but I was focusing more like say we talk about like Microsoft's Forza Motorsport that's coming out next month. The features that allows more users to get in it, but I understand what you're saying. The more you've got more gamers to join, the more inclusive they come in the game development and then the story, and then
yes.
you're doing
Yes.
it for the sake of us doing it, aren't you? Not. It started off at first. You wanted to do it, and then it's because you want a brownie badge. You want a badge to sit there and say it's because
Well,
we're.
no, I don't think the studios want to do it. Like, I don't think the studios are saying we want a brownie badge. What I'm saying is the type of person who, or the professional who you bring into a gaming team to say, how can we make this game more accessible? Right? Accessibility is part of inclusion, right? It is part of the idea of like allowing, like, it's including people who before were not having the experience because it was not accessible to them.
Mhm.
And so when you bring someone in with the lens of inclusion, you bring a team who's inclusive, well, they're going to look at other areas, not just accessibility. They're going to be like, well, what other stories are we missing? What other character, one of the things, um, in Outriders, right? Like I love Outriders, y'all know this. Or Remnant 2. Like they have the ability to create your character and they don't have a lot of options, right, to create the character. So you have to have certain hairstyles, certain voices. But then you have the other games that went really, really into that, right? Which, Saints Row, right? Another game that probably has solid accessibility, has solid inclusion, it gets labeled woke because, like I said before, the professional who is going to look at a game and say this is not
I
accessible is also going to be the professional
I
that looks
mean,
at a game and says
I
this is
feel
not
like the whole
inclusive.
idea of like woke is like a new thing in today's world because I've played Batman where I've seen Batgirl be in a wheelchair. You know what I mean? I've seen that long ago. I've seen Solid and Naked Snake years ago with an eye patch because he lost an eye. I've seen people lose limbs in games, and no one batted an eyelid. But now in today's gaming space and media space, it's always woke.
Yeah,
Very
no,
important.
I think this because this is a cultural battle being played out that we one great thing is there's always been queer characters in comic
Mhm,
books. And then when we show those queer characters in games and they have a queer storyline because they're queer from the origination of the
mhm.
character, we say, "Oh, that's woke." You know,
Well, I mean, I had a discussion with you in the past about these. I mean, I could sit there and talk about anime, for example, and media and movies
yes, you've
from
talked about anime.
the
Yes, go ahead.
the late 80s and 90s where we've seen sort of gender bender, queer, and we've seen these characters before. And I sit there and I've seen like lesbians in Buffy the Vampire Slayer and stuff like that. And nothing got said in the 90s. It was there in the 80s. And now I feel it's more vocal now in today's world because you've got what a lot of people label as the voice of wokeism and inclusive.
Or maybe it was always there and you just were not part of the this
Or,
is not
or do you feel like it was always there, but we've got the means to communicate now over the internet where everyone.
I think people are older, right? I think if you were to look at the 90s in queer characters in media, right? They were not as prevalent as they were today, and they were probably non-existent in the 80s,
Oh yeah.
right? If you think they were prevalent in comics, but who's reading comics, right? I think they were prevalent to us, in adolescence or adulthood, but I think if you were 20 to 30 years older, there were entire groups of thought that would say comics are a heresy is blasphemy. It's heresy. You can't. It's not holy, right? You can't read this comic, right? But the conversation wasn't with
Well,
kids. It's with
I
adults. And now
I
that you're
think the whole point
adult,
is like I think maybe because that platform, because you could express more on paper than you could do with at that time expressing it on the big screen. And I feel like that's the same with gore and violence. You can see it, you can do it in this media because it's easier to translate to paper or it's easier to translate to a sort of anime than it is actually doing a full movie and then or caring what other people's peer preference in the big screen. So I feel like that is why it was in them sort of media outlets.
yeah, no, I will. Like that, I think overall, I think we're agreeing on the point, which is, or not even agreeing or disagreeing, just bringing up interesting points. But that was my overall thing with accessibility, and if you have a game that's very
Yeah,
accessible,
it leads to more inclusion and affects more
yeah, and
avenues.
eventually,
Yeah,
and you would actually see people who would look at a game being very
and
accessible and say,
we,
"Oh,
we, we-
that's woke."
we've seen this with sort of like the idea of gender and race
Yes,
and stuff like that.
yes,
What you're trying to
yes,
say first it was gender, race, and then the idea of accessibility and how it could bleed into future.
yeah. But you see that already where certain gamers are annoyed with where you said I get excited when I see this uh the settings and they're asking me how
I
I want
mean,
to enjoy the game.
the whole point is I love the idea to have the features, but I don't care about the characters to represent me. I don't give a crap about gender, sexuality, ethnicity. That's not why I consume games. I was just focusing
Yeah,
on
yeah, yeah. No, but I totally but what I'm saying is that you see certain what you like about the game, when you
Mhm.
like to see that menu come up, there are gamers who when they see that menu come up, they do an eye roll,
Yeah.
right?
I guess so, yeah, I guess so, yeah.
And so I would say like
Because in the end, that's what you can argue, like, there's, like, perfectionists, and I only mentioned Elden Ring, for example, and they say, "Well, if this game is labeled as a difficult game, if I start seeing that we pander to, like, a gamer like Hoults, and he has an easier experience, they overall, it dilutes their idea of a hard game because you've included something that could help me into the game, and in the end, I'm sort of a story, I'm playing on easy mode, and it's already diluted the brand."
yeah. Well, like yeah. And you see that in gaming, right? Like I think gaming's gaming's narrative is dictated by a minority of voices. And I don't mean a minority of like people of color or
Yeah,
accessibility,
a
but but but
small size.
it's another
No,
group
you
that's
know
a
what they
very
say, don't you?
privileged group.
The smallest shout the loudest.
Yeah, and they will say, "Oh, this is woke or this is not that." But in actuality, I think most gamers don't even they're like, "Oh, that's interesting," or they don't notice it. But I think when we hear things about games being woke or we hear things about gaming's too easy, it's a certain group of people
Mhm.
who are
I can agree with
coming
that.
from a very privileged space. Privilege is not even the right word. It's very selfish group of gamers.
Mhm.
That's what I would say. Very selfish group of gamers trying to
I've always mentioned in the gaming space, I am one of them gamers with my rattle. I'll sit there with my rattle and I'll ask for stuff. I don't know if I'm gonna get it, but I will.
no, that's fine to ask. I think it's fine to ask it. I think I get upset where I kind of like once again do an eye roll is when a game adds something and it doesn't necessarily take away from your like it may add to someone's gaming experience, doesn't take away from yours, but you will then criticize it.
Well, I don't know.
That's where I get up.
A
That's
lot of
where I
people that say this about microtransactions, I do not care about microtransactions. I've seen it and I've never clicked on one. But the first thing when you see a game in development and before it gets released, the first thing people say is, "It better not have microtransactions." And it's like, if it's not for you, don't click it. It wasn't for you. Don't spend extra money on these
I
cosmetic or enhancements. But I always feel that microtransactions is a dirty word now in the gaming space
yeah, or live service.
or live
Live
service.
live service automatically denotes microtransaction and but then at the same time, people don't want to pay for a $70 game and so or a $60 game or even a $50 game. And then you have some people who don't like subscription models then
In the
you have
space, like, if it's all like Shadow of War, it only popped up, or Assassin's Creed, it only pops up once, gives you a free item, then says, if you want to come to this. And people get annoyed by that because it's there, but it's like, it never implemented it until like 20 hours into the game. But for some people, when they see it, they go, oh my God, this game's ruined.
I think microtransactions are actually an interesting thing to me. If it's someone who really loves a game, or you want to have a super user of a game, or something, you have a way for them to pay the developer even more to get whatever abilities, or something. And I think that from a development standpoint, that's an interesting concept like that. Like, let me back up. For again, I'll bring up a game I really let me bring up another game I really like. Um, Little Nightmares, right? Or actually Fall Guys. Fall Guys is a free to play game, right? And I spend money on costumes in Fall Guys. Like, I am the person who I've spent probably $100 on costumes in
No,
Fall
so you
Guys.
put more than the idea you would have bought the full price of the game.
Yeah, oh, for sure. It's like I like it. Like, I get certain outfits. Like, I've gotten all the Ghostbuster ones. I've gotten all, like, it's a whole thing of it. Am I annoyed with it? Well, I'm the one who bought it, but it's like a micro. It's like it's on me. I'm not gonna be upset with the Fall Guy developers for making that game like that in the game.
Yeah,
So,
but there's people out
or
there
the
that say, "Oh,
publisher. I like, again, I don't know. I think live service has gotten a very negative connotation. Um, and I get it. There's people who are like, oh, it's loot boxes, or it's
No, I
there.
don't like live action because in the end, I like my single player experience. But I can understand why people will turn to live action because they can put hundreds of hours with with a constantly updated experience, multiplayer experience, and it does sound marvelous. You know what I mean? You know, just have a base and then pay for expansions, and it does sound great. But to me, I'm like, that's not something that I've got behind it, but it's not something that I can consume. I always want to move on to the next thing, the next thing, the next thing.
Yeah, then I would say it's not for you. But a game that I think does live service really well is Destiny. Like,
Mhm.
and I think back to Nads, from formerly Chat Stadia, now Cloud and Console, Rudik's partner there. Nads loves Destiny, right? Or N7, another person who loves playing Destiny. If you really like that world of Destiny, and it's like, hey, every year you have to buy a new season, or it's a new content, it's a new story. Why is that a bad thing?
No.
For me, I don't think it's a bad
But
thing.
this is what I was saying last week. You know, the idea of is too much content bad in a gaming space? Because I was talking about because it blew up on the internet that developers going, oh my god, what's it called? Baldur's Gate 3 is overproducing and blah blah blah. And I've just thought, oh, who cares? You know, if people want to consume and got the time and effort and the money to experience these hundreds of hours, then by all means, that's how they game.
Yeah,
I
no, if they're in, we have a couple of Boulders Gate. Who's Bjorn from Dad
mhm.
Plays Games. He's really into Boulders Gate. I think Squids has probably over 100 hours on Boulders Gate right now. Trying to think of other people I know, MM2K, a few
I
others.
pre-ordered it on the PlayStation 5,
So you pre-ordered it. No, I think, but if that's what you like there's certain games I wish were live service games.
and sadly, I've only pre-ordered it because I know I could get addicted by it, but I just because everyone that I've known in the community that I really trust behind their reviews, it's made me actually want to try it because of what they've recommended for the idea. So at the end of the year, I've got a discussion of what games will highlight 2023, and I know this is a game that easily at the moment is definitely a highlight, and I'm like, will I change my mindset in gaming if I purchase it and consume? Or would I be that naysayer?
Oh no, I was about to buy the if it was in stock, but it wasn't. I was gonna buy I think it was like a limited deluxe edition of the game, just to have it, because I think this is a game that really not only will define 2023, but probably define I'm not going to say the decade, but I will say it's
People remember in the gaming space for some time.
yeah, it's going to be there for some time. If as far as like turn-based games, I think it set a new standard for turn-based. I think as far as RPG, it's setting to depending on certain elements. So for sure, it's
And, and,
definitely
and,
that type
and
of
that's
game.
another debate, isn't it, in the gaming space at the moment? Do we go physical or do we go digital? I mean, the idea of having experience in gaming is to have physical experience because it brings back to
Mm.
what it was gaming was in the past. And now there's a lot of people that say, oh, move away from it. Let's remove the disk drives from the consoles. Let's go fully digital. Who's bothered about these? But there is a market still for the idea of physical and collectors.
Physical, yeah. Dorgon, I think he was someone who was saying that he is not going to get the game because it is fully digital. And so Paul, was that your the laptop died, or was that the game died?
Well,
Uh,
I was
so
I was speaking to Seven and we were talking about UHDs, and I was sitting there saying I can't have UHDs anymore because I find them as clutter because I find that I'm more go for more ergonomic stands and stuff like that. And my idea having DVD racks or UHDs or CDs were from the old days where they used to be very tall and flimsy. And then he actually showed me what he has with like a rotationally, like 4 rotation. It was like a very tall. And we can just get one of them. And it was so great to see how space consuming ideas are getting implemented for people who've got all this vast CDs, DVDs, or content. And I thought to myself, wow, that actually made me think about going back to physical, where back in the day, I used to think it was all just become physical clutter.
well, I mean, everything gets everything. Yeah, so this is a TK9. TK9's a big physical gamer type. So
And see, I'm even that, I even nag about digital clutter. People are like, what's digital clutter? I'm like, when your interface is not clean, it's just full of all them titles of games that you don't actually play anymore. They're just part of your backlog, or you got it free on a humble bundle. And I just feel like, oh, that's not digital clutter. That's your library. I'm like, I know, but I wish I can hide it. I wish I can manage
you
it.
can't. Well, so I actually
To a
hide
certain
things
point.
on my Xbox Series S. I always am deleting. I only keep games that I'm currently streaming or something I really really like on that.
Well,
Otherwise, I just
well, my
delete it.
friend, he'll sit there, right, and he'll open a Steam live and he'll go, 1,000 games. Look at that list. Look at that list.
A
Look at all them titles.
thousand games.
And
I
I'm
would
I'm
think.
like I'm like, oh come on.
Mm-mm.
There's not even half of them you're proud of, and there's not even a tenth of them that you're actually finished. And come on, to me, it's just too much visual stimulation, and that's what I feel like when we're consuming streaming media. I feel like it's overwhelming of all these titles popping up. Watch, recommend that you filter so much time filtering through this digital archive of stuff that you go, oh god, now I'm bored, and you turn the TV off, or you turn the game off because there's too much. So I feel like if there's an interface that's let me define it by genre or time, or I mean, I'm that type of gamer that I love to have like sort of the voice input. I wish I could say to my PlayStation 5, recommend me something, and it'll say Purple's playing this, Seven's playing this, Mr. Name, or do you want to carry on your single experience? And I just go, pick a number 1 to 5, and I go, okay, I want 5. And then it just loads the game up. I want that kind of stress-free navigating through a user interface or navigating through friends. Because then sometimes when you see a friends list, you're overwhelmed by how many people are on. And you're like, should I join that game? Should I? But if I just recommend, I said, PlayStation 5 recommended me a friend to play with them, and Purple A's, and I just jumped in, I guess I'll just be happy with the idea to get some kind of gaming in. Doesn't matter what gaming in.
No, I agree. I think obviously I agree. I think the two companies that could probably do something like that, unfortunately, are either no longer in gaming or are retreating very quickly, which is Amazon and Google. I think they're the ones who could.
Yeah, and I love the
Maybe Netflix. Maybe Netflix could pull it off, but
well, Netflix is actually bringing in the cloud, aren't they? They're bringing the cloud gaming in beta for a few people. And really interesting to see how that gets implemented because in the end, that's a native app. So I wonder, they must fully be integrated in TVs and smart devices. So I wonder how they're going to implement how You don't get too distracted with having movies, TVs, and games. How can you navigate it so easy? How will it recommend you your limited time? You know,
You're saying, so with Netflix, how does it?
because in their interface, I subscribe, and in the end, what will they recommend to me? Will they recommend more Cloud Pacific, or will they recommend me more TV? And that's where I'm going to say sometimes if the user interface is cluttered, I might just then load up Netflix and go, I'm bored of it. Now look, there's not on here. But then if they can manage it properly with recommendations and how it works, they could get me to be a full cloud gamer or a full consumer of other media if they do it correctly.
If it's even possible. See, I think the history. Let me back up. With Netflix now, right? You can go on Netflix now and it'll tell you like, here are the things that are popular. Here are like maybe some things that we recommend you. Here is like horror comedy shows, right? I think with games, the thing that's going to be hard with games is I'm not too sure if it's that. I think people play games for different reasons, right? Meaning, one reason someone may play a game may be for a story. One reason someone plays a game for
example, yeah. So Valiant Hearts, you love Valiant Hearts,
Valiant Hearts is on Netflix, yeah,
and it's on Netflix. But that's one of the first cloud game that they're utilizing in the cloud. So I wonder if people are going to turn on the Netflix cloud and actually go, "Oh my god, they got loads of indie games," compared to if Netflix threw money and had the idea of Fortnite or stuff like that. Are people going to see Netflix and see, "Oh my god, they're going down the same route as Amazon Luna and Stadia, and that's not worth me because they're not promoting the games that are driven the industry forward at the moment"?
So I don't. And what is going on, Cowboy King of Entertainment Network? I don't know if that's what their goal is. Like Netflix, if you think about it, Netflix right now has 220, 230 million paying subscribers of some nature across the globe. And I wonder if their whole thing is we just want people. How should I say it? They just don't want people leaving their platform, meaning not stop paying for their platform, but let me back up. Because I've been thinking about this over a long time. Because I think about this with Game Pass, but it works for all subscription models. So I'm going to ask you a series of question Hoults.
Go ahead.
And this is about the value of subscriptions in general. Okay. And I agree with Cowboy that they just want people engaged. My thing with subscriptions is this. When Netflix first came out, right? I think it was like $7.99 or $9.99. I can't remember. It was one of those odd numbers plus 99. And that was all like we had. There was like Netflix and there was Hulu, right? And you got a huge library of content for, let's say it was $8.99. And you only have so much time in the week or in a month. And you watch TV and you watch more on Netflix. When you got Hulu, all right, let's say you got Hulu. So now you have Netflix and Hulu. Initially, you just had Netflix. Now you have Netflix and Hulu. No matter what, the value of Netflix goes down, right? If you think about it, if you were watching TV, you're consuming less, right? And so the more and more it goes on, the less and less value.
Which is a thing that I fell for because I was there back in the early days of cord cutters. And I was like, yeah, cut the cord. And then I realised, wow, it was all managed in one place at one sub price. And now I've got this vast
you have
of subscriptions. I'm paying more now. And it's like, when did that happen?
Right. And so, and now you're in a situation where you're paying a lot. So each additional subscription ends up decreasing the value of all your previous subscriptions. If you think about it, just because if you just start, because you're using that subscription less. And so when I think about Netflix, to Cowboy's point, They just want you engaged on
But
Netflix to have value for Netflix.
there's nothing wrong with becoming a micromanager of your subscriptions where 1 month you'll sit there and you'll have Netflix, then Hulu the next month, and then you'll just wait until the library builds up for your watch list, and then you just pay one-off month. Or do you think consumers are just too lazy to press cancel?
Well, I think consumers are too lazy to press cancel. I also think
No.
for everybody who's upset with Lena Khan, they are bringing a lawsuit. Oh my gosh, there's a red light. in my bill. The FTC is actually bringing a lawsuit, suing companies that make it too hard for people to cancel
Oh,
subscriptions.
I hate it's one of the hardest things to do. I mean, I
Yeah,
feel
so
do
you
you
need
know
to
what
cheer for the
like,
FTC.
I feel like these days, right, it's getting harder to get to customer services, right? And it's harder to actually cancel
Oh,
stuff.
Severin Evans is in chat. Severin, how long have you been there? How long have you been there, Severin?
Now, I sit there and go, for example, you go to the FAQs, you navigate your problem, you realize it's not a problem, you can't find it in the FAQs, so you click callers, customer services, and then in the end, it just navigates you to loads of more pages before it actually gives you the phone number.
Yeah,
And then when you ring up the phone number, it goes, "Hello, did you know like 76% of our users can actually navigate the website?"
yeah.
And you don't have to ring us, and you feel like shutting down the phone and ringing up because it's impossible to freaking cancel.
No, I think I agree. Look. I'm not a problem. Like I have no problems if as easy as as easy as I signed up. So if I was able to go click, 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 I am now signed up to your service. As long as I can go click, 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 now I am off your service. I'm fine. I don't like it when I have to go click, 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 sign up, and then I have to go click, click, click. You need to call us, and then I have to call you at a certain time.
Uh,
That
Speaking about
that's not cool.
calling chats, do you know how you know you're old? Do you know how you know
Yeah,
you're old? Say
yeah.
to someone, "How'd you pick up a phone, purple?" to imitate a phone, and you'll go, "Hello?" You know what I mean? Hello? But kids these days with mobile phones, if you're young, you go, "Hello?"
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. Well, I've never
'Cause
talked. It's seven.
if you said to me, "Hoults, call me," what would you do? "Hoults, call me." Or people in chat, "Call me."
And I will just say this to Severin Evans. It actually follows the FTC. The FTC's actually won 15 cases in the last 18 months or dissuaded mergers 15 times. I think the news media just likes to harp on losses,
No.
but actually look that they've actually broken up 15.
Now, here's one for you. Here's latency question. Last time I was on Shades of Purple, I would promote subscriptions. And when I was promoting subscriptions was the idea of they becoming more family audiences. You could share your account with multiple users. They were going to include more users. It's something I was using in like YouTube Premium and Stadia and stuff like that. And now in 2023, we found out that Netflix is actually saying we're not going to allow house sharing. Microsoft's stepping back, going, we're not going to implement friends and family Game Pass.
Of course.
And I'm like, oh, I liked your subscription because it was all in on that, and I can have a debate with my friends and family about gaming and media, hence why it was set price. But now you're stepping back because it's becoming an overwhelming cost to produce and manage. Now, as a consumer, I'm going, wait there, I can't afford all these each month at the price you're asking for without the option of sharing. So I'm like, now I'm sort of moving away from a subscription model.
Yeah. No, I agree. And Severin's just being difficult just because Microsoft is one. I don't know. I would say there's several pharmaceutical companies. There's Random House Penguin. Severin, stop being difficult.
This is
Uh,
this is why we don't get invited to alumni events, Purple.
why?
We turn up to these campuses and it just goes off.
I know. But I agree with your idea about subscriptions. I think subscriptions, um,
But they can't go back now, Purple, can they? They can't go back to their core values now when streaming is just getting more costly. The
no, I
infrastructure
think
and the
I think
quality demands.
there's quite a bit of people who are laughing at streaming right now. A lot of traditional media is laughing at streaming right now. Because you see this in Disney, you're seeing it in Warner Brothers Discovery, where they went off and they did all these things, and now it's costing them money. They're actually not profitable. Um, and and so you're exactly right. They can't go back, but in actuality, I think what this shows is that eventually, it's kind of like taxis and Ubers. If you live in a city that has taxis and Ubers, eventually you find out that over the long run, they kind of start to cost the same, minus some random situations here and
Distance
there.
versus time. It depends if you went down a straight
Yeah,
road or what.
but for the most part, we would say it's commodity pricing. And I think media consumption is eventually, yes, the cable companies, sure, did they have a box? Did they have some bloated stuff in the contract? Sure. But a bare bones cable versus a bare bones streaming
So
will probably
So
equal
we
the
we we just said that
same
we can't
cost.
go back. Go back to what I said, where I think the marketing and gaming space is expanding too much with all these keywords. And I said what they need to do is dial it back. Do you feel like gaming can't go back? Like, do you think if someone says, if you don't use the magic word 4K 60, do you think they instantly hate themselves? Where I'm like, well, dial it back. Go
I
and have
think only a few.
4K.
I think the vast majority of gamers don't even know.
No, but I'm saying the
Don't even
developers
know
and
what
marketers
400.
pushed that narrative to make it sound cool, and in the end, now it's only shot them in the foot. Like same the word flops when we heard teleflops back in the day.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I
And now
think.
you don't hear it now because it's hating development and it's hating.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
I think case in point is Microsoft, right? I think Microsoft pushed, and rightfully so. I think they pushed the power narrative. Now they realize, like, oh, this is costing a lot of money. It's not allowing us to like actually deliver on some of our promises. Let's stop this narrative, right? To the point now that a lot of gamers would point out that they've come back that like your marquee game on your console isn't even going to run as well as somewhere else. But I think that's
So
all
yeah,
strategy.
is it the minority or the majority that's saying that now?
Saying what?
Like saying like Microsoft, we told you, ha ha ha, you shouldn't do that. Or do you think gamers don't care? It's like they don't care if stuff dies, like cloud dies, and you go back to physical or digital.
It depends on what you're defining as gamer.
No, I'm saying the percentage of gamers. Do you think there's more or less gamers that care about this thing? Like if Microsoft, okay, yeah, we're going to start putting our games back in stores, high street stores, bring physical back to the more forefront of gaming. Do you think there's more gamers that will go against that
This is
idea?
so I think so. Here's what I think.
Especially with
I
the age gap in like in a consumption. Like, could I sit there and say to my niece and nephew, "Here's a Nintendo Switch game physically"? They've never touched a physical product.
so here's the thing. So here's the thing. Here's what I believe when you look at the numbers on this. 10% of gamers like represent almost 90 to 95% of game like of when we talk about console PC
Yeah,
revenue.
the high end, the stuff
Yeah, it's almost like the
that pushes the
Pareto
narrative. Yeah, yeah.
principle. It's like a more exaggerated Pareto principle, the
Mhm.
80-20 principle. It's almost like it's about 90-10. Like 10% of gamers represent 90% of the revenue, which is incredible. That 10% who went and bought like in the way you can say like, hey, this person is most likely a super spender in gaming, right? The one indicator that can say like this is the highest correlation, regardless of how much they make, who their parents are, what they gamed before. The one correlation is if they buy gaming hardware, they are most likely going to be a super spender of gaming software. It's the closest thing they have correlation wise. So that group of people, that 10%, the majority of that 10%, it probably does matter. But that
I
10%
don't
is
know, 'cause
only
you've seen my level of consumption of, gaming and hardware and stuff, and I started this show saying I'm in a confused place because actually when I actually load up my software and I load up my hardware, it's under-delivering on a lot of aspects where I feel like, "Oh my god, dial it back and just step back and focus on
yes.
what you could have delivered, resolution, frame rate, story, because all that comes at a cost." And if the developers just focused on what they could achieve instead of overachieving to cater for the idea, will it run on a 4090? Will it run on this screen? If you just focused on what the, and that's where I think Nintendo does it great. They
Yes,
they
Nintendo, I
know who
think.
their audience is, and they just go, "It is what it is. Our device is 1080," and they could still do that for another 10 years, and it'll still market well. But then you got the 10% gamers that I probably fall in, and they go, "No, we need to push on for the next thing now," and it's like, "No, come on, dial it back."
No, I think yeah, I think Nintendo showed right that you don't have to speed forward. I've talked to many owners of a current gen Xbox system and a current in an Xbox One. And they'll ask, why did we get an Xbox current gen? The game can play on Xbox One. Um, I'm not sure. I haven't talked to many PlayStation people who say that, and I'm not sure why.
Well,
But
what I loved about Xbox is that they was considering a family of gamers. So we had the Xbox One, then the Series S and X, and I loved that narrative. I mean, I only pushed it because I wanted the powerhouse to match the TV, but now I actually sit there and go, "Why did I run out and do that?" I should have just stuck to what my guns was, and I've done this with the PlayStation 5. Why did I run out when 2 years of their games are on the PlayStation 4? And I was like, God of War, this, and I was like, I could have just sat on my hands and enjoy the console that developers knew how to develop for,
yeah,
and it was well optimized. And running out and buying a narrative just because it's got a little bit, few more frames and a little bit more polish. But I see that's the magpie effect. I'm like, oh, shiny object syndrome.
no, I agree. And Severin's only he's darn crusted. Severin, I think I was the one who said cloud gaming is that. Just so y'all know, if y'all did not know, I am a cloud gaming executive. But different
Cloud gaming
topic.
executive. What's one of them?
Exactly, what is one of those? But yeah, I
Am
think
I with like cloud gaming royalty or something?
cloud cloud gaming. No, cloud gaming is cloud computing, right? So that's what I've always said. This I said, Cowboy and I get into this about cloud gaming, and I always said cloud gaming is a form of cloud computing. So when I talk about cloud, I talk about the computing power.
Well,
And so right
that's
now
what
we talk
Google
about
did, didn't they? They used the word elastic computing, and
elastic computing.
yeah, and they sit there and he said like putting multiple systems together to build one mega system. So it's like bringing the power all together to bring this big, huge 1,000-player games.
Yeah, that was like I never was that. That's like I
And like I said, when you hear that narrative, you go to yourself, "Ooh, it sounds like the future." Ooh, but in the end, they couldn't deliver. Sadly, they had it. I'm pretty sure they had a small model, but it was the consumers that sort of fell, and that's why I went back to the idea of I do love cloud and I do love a lot of factors, but I feel like we're pushing too fast in consuming games.
Yeah, I mean there's so many. So we're talking actually three different. We were talking consuming games, we're talking about the tech. There was a brief comment I made there about cloud and cloud computing, which like I said, I look at like when I work with customers or clients, it is very strategic conversations about it's not about consumers, it's about delivering content. Which I guess is about consumers. And then there's this thing about
Well, it wouldn't be there if it
then
had
the,
nothing to consume.
what's that?
If it consumerism, if they had no consumers to consume, they
Yeah,
wouldn't
exactly.
have
I was like, I
the
guess it does,
services.
but I deal with like CTOs and chief executive officers and sometimes I may deal with people who are like, well, you know,
Well, purple. What's the best way to make money? Uh,
most of the time it's about how to save money.
so save
So
money.
so a lot of people will talk about um a lot of companies is like, how can you help me deliver my game faster and to the most people? And it's so there's different parts of that revenue cost structure. But right now, and initially cloud was out there on the revenue side of things. Like it said, we could deliver more your content to more people because they don't need a console. Now it's basically how can cloud save money, which starts to get really scary, right? Because then we start to think about cloud and AI, particularly um, using AI for NPCs or using AI
Well,
for testing and so forth.
that is one thing that I actually wanted to go into. It's to do my PhD. I wanted to do artificial intelligence deep learning, and that was one thing that really interested me all them years ago. young Holt, fresh behind the ears. I wanted to do all that. And now when I hear about AI now, I'm like, wow, it just went so far fetched. I mean, the people in the industry back then, they knew where it was going. But now when I start seeing stuff on YouTube from consuming media, I sit there and go, do I really want AI? You know what I mean?
I
Like
don't know.
AI, AI designing images. I'm like, but I really love sitting back and watch artists design images, or like I love going to music gigs and shows. Like, do I really want AI to replicate a voice or a video footage or like an image of
I mean,
people?
like, I think you're right. See, so this is what's really crazy about what you're talking about is because I'm waiting for the moment that gaming goes the way that we're seeing Hollywood go, right? Which is where game companies, game devs, right? What is a game dev? Like, there's a point to where we start to use AI that starts to really
Have, have,
just
have
wipe out the industry.
have you
So
seen the episodes of Black Mirror, the latest season of Black Mirror?
I have not. I was clicking through Netflix.
There's an artificial intelligence. I'm not going to say plot. There's artificial. Well, I'm going to say a plot. I'm not going to spoil it. Artificial intelligence when it gets brought in, and no one seems to care until it affects them, right? And there's a part where they go to the higher up, and the person goes, "We're not even running it anymore. It's all the AI. The AI will give the consumer Holt is angry today, and if someone wants to see Holt's happy, we'll just feed them a Holt is happy video." But there's no genre. It's just whatever they want to see in that instance, for example. And I feel that's what's going to happen in gaming. We're going to follow an AI generated story, right? And because it's going to be so open, I'm going to say, wait there, this character seems so well developed. I don't care about the rest of the world. I want to know their story. And I'm going to go off on a tangent and completely just focus on this one NPC that I care about. And it's going to give me all these strange options and content and experience around this person in this town or their story, instead just focus on what we used to have in the past when developers used to go, here's our narrative, we're sticking to it. Here's this, where AI can just constantly produce, and
Yeah, no, you're exactly right.
we'll have no talking about
Exactly
it, and I'm
right.
like, well, people remember that game? And you're like, Holtz, I
No,
totally, your game developed into something totally weird. And I was like, huh? And then we're not talking about the same game anymore because it's branched off as a huge
no,
content.
it's a huge thing that's to you that the AI has like learned your
Yeah.
preference and so has now developed a game based upon your. No, that's exactly right, and most likely that will be delivered through the cloud because
So in the end,
cloud computing.
there'll just be one massive game. You start off in just a grey room, feed them a few
Yes, and then
options,
it
and
just feeds it or it takes certain things and it just continues. Yes, yes,
welcome to
exactly.
AI gaming.
Exactly. No, I think you're
And then as
exactly
humans, we'll
right.
have nothing to talk about because we'll be too invested with me and my AI buddy, and that's it.
Yeah. No, I think you're what you're speaking about is a very real thing. And I think there's currently um if you were to ask me when we talk about the game of the decade, I believe in 6 to 8 years you will see what you just described. Not now. I don't think the game like looking at the landscape. I don't think the AI is there yet, and I don't think the
Yeah,
developer to create that
when
is
you
there
hear when
yet.
you're mimicking sort of artists, vocally or artists, singers and stuff like that, you can get it to a point, but they don't have all them extra nuances or humor and stuff like that. Personal traits why you like that artist. We're
Yeah.
close, but not. It wouldn't sell me on it yet.
No, it's not there. Like I said, it's getting there. And they are trying and they are bringing like if you actually look at certain AI that hasn't been released, or if you have gotten to look at certain, you'll see that it is getting close. But I still think it's about a good 3 to 4 years before the AI gets there, and about another 6 to 8 years before they can actually implement it into a game. To what you're talking about. So I really think at
I mean,
that point,
what's so sad when I've spoken about people AI and that they're saying I programmed the AI and wrote a story, and at the moment it's still talking. This person's still talking about the human input, putting keywords in and narrating the story, and they'll do the edits and the fine tweaks and tell the AI what to do, and they're proud that they're putting keywords in. and they're developing a piece of art, a song, or media. But soon they're going to fall out of favor with AI when the AI starts generating it itself.
Yeah, I think this is why
And then it's going to
companies
start
are
saying,
right.
"No, Hoults, you never wrote the story. I'm taking credit for the story." And I'm like, "Yeah, but it was my initial inputs." And it goes, "No,
No.
sorry. From now on, from behaviors and your searches and stuff that um, you've accepted the cookies and all that crap, data."
No, it's interesting. I'm not a I personally think that it's like I said, I think it's a little bit of ways away. I think that there are going to be laws put in place here pretty soon on what's allowed with AI. Um, but yeah,
But coming full circle, the thing that's going to excite me in the future, tech-wise,
is
is
AI
wearable tech, right?
wearable tech. Okay,
Wearable tech that, I mean, this, I'll tell you the pros why I want it, but I'll say the disadvantage, that immerses us in our own worlds. For example, experiences and stuff like that. That's what I want. It doesn't matter if it's powered by the cloud. It doesn't matter.
wearable tech. Say this again. Wearable tech.
So I'm talking about like a visual sensor. Then I would like some gloves. I would like some feet. I mean, it's already implemented it now, but I would love to have the full experience, for example. But I know that once I have got that and I've got the ultimate gaming setup, I know that it'll just be an experience for me, and I would lack all the experiences actually in real life. For example, so I'll stop going to the cinema. I'll stop doing this. I'll be saying it'd be like Ready Player One. We're all
Ready Player-
consumed. We're all consumed in this vast
I
media.
don't know if it'll get there at that
No,
because
that's the idea. That's what will excite me at the moment. It's never going to come out in my
so
life.
that's what you're yeah, I don't know if it would
You know
come
what I mean?
out.
And then anyone else is like, are you excited for? Are you excited for 8K? No. Are you excited for more portable handhelds? No. Are you excited for path ray tracing, real life ray tracing? And you're like, real life? Have we already had a conversation? No, this is the proper one. And then no. You're more asked about your power of your GPU. I'm like, no. So in the end, I think I've now just got to this fantasy place of gaming that I know will be unachievable in my lifetime.
And in the meantime, you will wait for it to.
And now, at the moment, now I'm actually sitting there now realizing that I'm at a peak of gaming and it's not going to get any better. So now I feel like I'm going to slowly decline my input because I can't always be an early adopter and becoming more of a average consumer and I'll just hit a medium where I'll be like, am I happy with gaming or will step out of gaming? I think that's the idea that I'm going in the future. I think that
No.
I've put so much love into gaming over the years, and it won't vastly jump up or blow my expectations in the future. So I'm just gonna wait for the next generation of people to come in and consume gaming. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, if you're looking for tech, if you're looking for the tech, you're going to need another generation. Like in your regard, like the developers who are going to push gaming or tech forward is not the are not millennials, right? They're not Gen Z. They're going to be the gen after that who can push that forward.
So in the end, I'm going to be more that gamer that consumes. You've seen the tech that I've got, but I'll be more the gamer that will be talking about how I love musicals and RPGs, and I've played Stray Gods in that artistic style. And you're like, well, Hoults, that doesn't really push power, sales, or really ambitious. And I'm like, who cares? As long as just talk about fun, I'll be becoming that game, and then that'll start just going to then pushing the narrative and talking about all these keywords and marketing.
No, yeah. Well, what was I about to say as far as what you just said there? I think if you're always looking for the next thing, I've always felt this about gamers like this, Hoults, who are always like, what gets me excited? And I think you're going to be constantly disappointed.
I remember there was a time that I never used to be. And I wonder if that's the more that I've been more vocal on the internet, more people are being vocal back, and they're focused on their standards, or what they're happier in at the moment. And some people are coming in at entry at 60 and they're talking about 120 or 240, and they've got valid points. It could be price to performance, it could be you can't see past the certain resolution or frames, and that's why I'm saying, well, what's the point of being hyped up for all these other things when we've sort of, I wouldn't say peaked, but we're at just
We're plateaued.
Yeah, and until there's a new way to consume. So in the end, I'm like, yes, I do like handhelds, I do like VR, but in the end, they're going to peak as well, because in the end, they're not going to have the power to create like a Ready Player One experience anytime soon. The handheld is always going to be limited by the battery, and we haven't got the new tech yet to have hours and hours of battery on a handheld. Consumers, consoles are always going to be stuck in physical. I thought cloud was going to be the idea, but now that's dying really. So in the end, consoles are going to be around for the next PlayStation 6, PlayStation 7.
Maybe not a PlayStation 7. For sure, PlayStation 6.
What happens if 10 years? Not that far off, is it?
PlayStation, yeah, it's about or no longer, right? Because we have the one in
And
2028.
it's a shame, I'm talking about from on live, like 2010, 12, and then you sit there about Stadia and the big push of that, and it was a time of that 10 years to be, is this the future? And now I'm like, yeah, it's not going to be it anytime soon.
Yeah, we'll see. I always think like it.
Alumni 2033. There you go.
We'll see, and then and we can talk. I don't know, Holt. I think that they are constantly always coming up with things, right? And I think Elon Musk is being talked about in chat right now, and I think the same way I feel about a Toyota Prius. I remember back in like 2005 doing a cost benefit analysis on is it worth going EV versus a gas vehicle, and it actually came out because of the credits you get, tax credits. It actually did make sense to go EV, but everybody's like, but it's ugly, it's not fast, it's not cute. And then it took literally 10 years, and then another company came and took an electric vehicle and made it into a thing. So much so that in another 10 years, most companies are saying they want their fleet to either be all EV or want it to be at least half EV. And I think,
you're right, but Apple's probably going to do that, and the Apple's going to be the first one to push this narrative in the tech space. Like,
no, I don't think it is. I don't think it.
You think Apple Pro Vision's going to just flop? It's not going to change.
No, I think right now, the company that is going to take gaming away into the sphere that you're talking about, into the sphere of out of this media, it's not going to be a company you are talking about that we have mentioned on this stream. It will take a new company, a disruptor, who can take what's already out there, make a business model out of it, and have it become popular.
Well, I'm going to say to this company, can you actually give me some actually free tech to actually satisfy this bitter old gamer? In the future, just drop me in if you want someone to test.
You're going to see it. I'm just telling you, it's kind of like, I mean, maybe it will be a company that's already been out there, right? Like Apple was irrelevant towards the late 90s, and then all of a sudden they came out and said, oh, we're going to make this MP3 player, because before then MP3 players just weren't a thing. Then they made Apple.
No, the MP3s was a thing back then. It's just that Apple adapted the premium idea.
Yes, but actually paying for it and having
they can store $1 for a soundtrack.
Yeah, that is what. But actually having a mass media MP3 player back then, if you looked at the MP3 players, they did not organize well. It wasn't practical.
Yeah, I feel like even the iPod that died really fast because smartphones came out just round the corner. And I think
smartphones then let the difference between, I continue to say, an iPod and an iPhone is just you can make a call. And if you were using WhatsApp on your iPod, it was basically
so when you're using an Apple Vision Pro, for example, why can't you just have that fully immersed with that, Siri, play this, Siri, call, Siri, load the video, play this.
Maybe Apple. So let me say this. Maybe Apple will do it. I just feel like a disruptor. I think also just because you're the first doesn't mean you're the best. Like,
I feel if Apple doesn't do it, I feel like it's going to take a long time before that disruptor comes in, because of the price of entry. I think you're going to be a disruptor. You have to have the backing of the money. You couldn't bring in revolutionary tech at a low cost. It ain't going to happen in today's world.
I don't know. I don't know if you need to bring in revolution. I think it only takes, like I said, I think it takes a true disruptor.
No, I feel like even some of GPUs, I'm about the 4090. I don't think the 590, the 690. I think that's not going to produce true 4K. Not even leading on to 8K. So in the end, we're always talking about what we got and what we can have, but I don't think we're going to have it for well over a decade.
Like I said, I think it's a company. I think that's who it's going to be, and that's why.
And sadly, that's why I'm talking about myself now. Thinking, I think I hit that point in gaming. Can I see myself at 50 gaming in another 13 years? By the time that disruptor comes out, I don't think I will.
I don't think it's 15 years. I think we get so wrapped up around, if we look at the past in companies, yes, there are the behemoths who've been there for a while, but soon the behemoths will fade away and new entrants come. And in tech, I think right now we're at this place where we look at these behemoths, we look at Apple, we look at Google. Somehow Microsoft avoids this label of a behemoth, but they are there as well. And we're like, they are always going to be there. And I don't think so. I think it just takes one company, like AI, especially right now with AI, especially if we look at Bard, it just takes one employee or a group of employees who used to be at a company who say, you know what, we're going to do our own thing. We learned what you taught us. You're not allowing us to do what we want to do. And then they go do something else, and then they create it. And then you get venture capital, or you get some other company that gives them
I
money.
assume AI will all be like that. All them resources will be, open source.
Potentially.
Yeah, I've seen an open source. They're not going to be, closed behind. I mean, the data probably is closed behind, but I don't think the resources and the skill set, if they move, yeah, they can have that.
Could be. It could. Well, we'll see, Hoults. We'll see. I will keep my eyes out. I'm going to continue. I love the articles you share with me when you share them. I will start to share stuff with you as well to see if it gets you excited.
You know what? I hold back the comedy ones. I've had some stupid comedy ones, and I'm like, send that to people on Twitter, because I don't go on the Twitter space. I don't. It's only the means by joining shows and stuff like that. I don't use it, but there's sometimes where I'm like, yes, this could be comedy, and that's why I like Cowboy's show when he brings up the streams, or you bring up that sometimes with the orcas and stuff like that. I'm like, oh god, send a link and then captivate.
Oh, the orcas! We're going to be talking about orcas next week. Oh, and I have more stories about otters too. They're not. Yes, otters. Otters are obviously they're cute. They're also assassins. But no, that'll.
I heard there's a developer called Dolphin that's making a game. It's called Orcas Must Die. You heard of it? Orcas. It's for when that 2020 23rd of May.
23rd of May.
Yeah, remember when that combat cowboy ninja came on and he said when the orcas rule the lands, that's what's going to happen.
He said May 25th or May 23rd, 2025. He said something weird like that. Like
that's when dolphins are going to make that Orcas Must Die game.
Orcas Must Die. I mean, I'm just telling you, I give y'all information and y'all can take it.
That dolphin? What happens to that poor dolphin getting ejected into the air?
I don't know that y'all saw it. I can show y'all again what we are. I think it's still here for just anybody who wants to see it, who did not see it last time. I will show y'all this really happened. And this is what happens when an orca and a dolphin go at it. Here we go, really quick. There you go. There you go. That is what happened when an
How all the shows come in this community come full circle. It's amazing.
orca and a dolphin. But Hoults, let people know we got late. You know, let people know what you've been up to. What are your recommendations in gaming? I think you gave us one already, but you want to reiterate? And yeah, anything else that you were like coming back on Shades of Purple? What did you want to, anything we didn't hit that you wanted to talk about?
No, I mean, I'll be on for hours just talking stories. And maybe next time if a question gets asked, I'll talk. I mean, there's been a few things where like people in chat like, oh, tell us about ghost stories, or I've had 3 hours with Airman and he's been in stitches. Tell us the story, or you pay for yourself. Tell the story. And it's like there's too much. I can't. One time I'll put it together, but I just wanted to be a alumni. It's like, oh yeah, I was on Shades of Purple, and I'll say what, because I feel like I've my mindset's moved from where I was, and I'm lucky to actually have a lot of things to test. But what I would say to people is just game what you like, and that's all that matters. That's all. Don't worry about other people's opinions, what they're trying to sell you, what they're not trying to say. You
Just
just do
game what
you
you
just,
like.
you just do you, and it's all right to talk a little bit of knowledge, rightfully or wrongfully. It's not wrong, but don't get too caught up in the marketing or the fanboy girlism or the drama of it. Just be game for fun like we used to.
Just game and I see you, JD. Welcome. Hey, JD. And JD said if you're not talking recommending PSVR 2, it doesn't matter. Severin gave us Baldur's Gate 3 as a recommendation. I think Holt earlier said if you're into musicals and so forth, I think you Stray Gods. You said that was worth it. Yeah, and
Worth it for me from my background, my back at RPGs and musicals.
RPGs and musicals comes together in Stray Gods.
If that's not for you, if you can't enjoy, the highs and lows of a song and the beautiful of an RPG, that's not for you. But
It may not be right. That's what I say. And I think for
But
me,
if you see it if you see it go on sale, or you see it part of a humble bundle or something like that, don't overlook it. But if you want to try something new that's not for you, then yeah, there's a few things that are,
always a few things.
but it's yeah. At the moment, the stuff that I'm consuming at the moment is not ready for me to sit there. I've consumed and I found very niche, and there's a lot of things I want to go back into, step back and consume the games or the stuff that I used to like.
And for everybody, on that, I think if you haven't played Outriders, go back and play it. It's a great game. I always have to.
Oh, you recommending old games?
I love
I'm saying
Outriders.
step back. I'm saying step back and enjoy games. And when you said Outriders, I was like,
Or Remnant, or next week we're going to be talking about some games that are coming out that I'm super excited about. There's a game that we were talking a lot about 2 years ago that I'm going to probably highlight next week. But yeah, I think go ahead.
and you know what? I think, and I've mentioned it. We just mentioned this to be about 30 years. I think why I'm in this weird space in gaming is because we're seeing such beloved franchises getting rebooted, like Mortal Kombat 1. I remember playing Mortal Kombat 1 at the time. God of Wars, all these franchises are getting rebooted and remade, and now I feel like, how much time have I got left to consume these stories? Like Final Fantasy 7. I love Final Fantasy 7 remake. Love part 1. I'm waiting for part 2, but when's part 3 and 4 coming out? How many am I waiting another 10 years for it? For the same story I
You
consumed in
might.
97? The
You
same story
might.
that I consumed in 97. And I'm feeling like I do trust these developers to bring something fresh, but it's still behind the mantle of Mortal Kombat. And I know the story of Mortal Kombat. I know the story of Link, the Warrior of Time. I understand Mario and Peach, and they've been there, and they've changed my whole life. But do I feel like I can carry on going forward with this narrative? I don't know.
Well, then you need to cheer for the franchises that are coming up that are trying something different. So I know next in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we have a franchise that people are saying is going to be the game of the century in Starfield. So if you're trying, Starfield is out there. Obviously, Baldur's Gate 3 is a 3, so who knows
Well,
if
what I'm looking forward to Starfield is the monsters that I showed you are 32.9 aspect ratio, so it's
I have no
super
idea what
wide.
this means. I have no idea what this
Super.
means.
So imagine super wide experience. So the whole game is in that aspect ratio, and Starfield is one of them games that I am dying to play at that. So I hope I'm one of them people that goes, it's more immersive when you play it like that, and if you
Yeah, and when you have your screens, we'll see. I mean, I'm not a Starfield type, so, but
well,
I will definitely
I
hope it does well.
I will be picking it up to try it. I will definitely. I'll be actually playing on the Game Pass. I've got Game Pass till November, so I will actually be trying it.
No,
I'm looking for-
definitely. If you can play it, definitely play it.
I'm
Or
looking forward more to Forza Motorsport. I'm that type of gamer where it's like kicking my feet up, putting some music on, and just stupidly playing a game. So that's what.
well, I will be finishing up Remnant 2, and if it, and either playing Diablo 4 or Armored Core 6 coming up. Bliss came in here earlier today and was saying that potentially Armored Core 6 will be co-op. And if it is co-op, I don't know. But if not, I am playing Diablo with Crow, Rudigs, Wit, and Rouster. Or probably Rouster first and foremost, because we've been holding off. I've been holding off with jumping in there. But Hoults, I think that's our show.
Well, if anyone gets excited what I showed on stream today, if you want the opposite wall, the mystery other side of the wall, you have to tune in next time.
we'll Hoults, you're always welcome when we do our stuff.
Ooh, that's what's on the mystery wall.
We're gonna have to
The
figure that
future of
out.
Gaming.
But with that, y'all, it's about that time where I say I don't care where you came, why you came, when you came, what you came on, how long you've been gaming. As long as you're gaming, you're good with me. And as always, this is Purple Haze. And the proof is in the plane. Thank you, everybody, for guys. Hoults, thank you for coming on, being the second alumni to come on the show. And thank you, everybody in chat, for making it exciting. It's been great. With that said, until next time, peace. Later.